Peace and welcome to the Boom Bap Kingdom. We're here and we're super chilling, and I hope you guys are chilling too. I was away for a little while, wasn't feeling too hot, had to go to the doctor, a little something, this, that, and the third, boom, boom, boom. Feeling better, I'm back in the game, and I'm here in the lab chilling. Been working on the MPC sample. As you guys can see, I changed my knobs out. That's one of the things that I think is dope about these smaller units is you can customize them. That is kind of the culture around these smaller devices. I wanted to talk about my experiences so far with the MPC sample. We already got release 1.3 firmware update. That's a pretty cool update. Does not offer a whole lot, but it does offer that much asked for normalize feature. So we already know, if you don't know, when you're in sample trim, you can hold down shift and that will reveal the normalize function on button 2. The takeaway is that the normalization will go to 0 dB, but only between the start and end points of your sample. So if you're trying to normalize the entire sample, you need to put the start and the end point at the very beginning and the end of that sample, and then normalize it. The whole thing will go to 0 dB. If you have already trimmed that sample, but you did not truncate it, the only part that's getting normalized is what's between that start and end point. So just keep that in mind. So yes, we got the normalized sample and we got some knob takeover modes. Fantastic. But what are my thoughts on this joint? I've been sitting with it for a little while, and the fact that I updated my knobs and stuff should already tell you that I'm digging it. But the question is why? So here's the funny thing, and this is like, I like building with you all, so I'm just going to chop it up with you for a few minutes. But if you stay tuned, I will play a beat. I have a few beats on here. I wanted to sit with it and work with it and kind of understand the flow, and I feel it is very easy. I have found similarities between the MPC 60/3000 and, believe it or not, a little bit of the 4000 is kind of here in the workflow, in my opinion. I have a 60. My 60 is upgraded to the same exact firmware as the 3000, and I have a 4000. Right? So the workflow is very familiar to me. Now, the funny thing is I brought my 60 back into the lab because I wanted to start jumping back on that and get into some more vintage boom bap workflow. I'm heavily considering getting a S900 or a S950, maybe an EPS, rack mount to pair it up with the 60, because these are the kinds of things we did back in the days. The 60 does not have low pass filters like the 1200, and that's kind of why a lot of people used the S950 along with the 60. And the reason why they did that with the SP1200 was really just to have more sample time. So you would load your samples would be on the S950 and your drums would be in the SP1200. In the 60 world, you could kind of put everything on the 60, but then the stuff you wanted to filter ran through the S950. So long story short, I'm thinking about, I need to set up a vintage beat making work area in the studio, and I bring the 60 in here, and then lo and behold, Akai drops the MPC sample. The rumors were true. So obviously, I'm going to pick up the MPC sample. And this brings me to who I think the unit is for and my thoughts about it. So I really do like the workflow. It is a pretty good combination of vintage and modern. So I think they did pretty good with that. I think it's for people, A, who want to make beats on the go, who B, want to stick with that Akai ecosystem, and C, if you want that throwback vintage boom bap vibe, but you don't necessarily want to struggle with an older unit like a 2000 or a 60 or a 3000, because when you buy these older units, there is compromises. You're going to sacrifice some modern workflow, modern power, modern features for the vintage sound. So I think if you're in the market for something vintage, but don't really want to struggle with that workflow, the MPC Sample also kind of meets that criteria. Now, I will say, for me, in my setup, I like the sonics. They sound dope to me. I like that they give you double the amount of semitones in pitch, meaning the MPC 60 can go to minus plus 12. The MPC Sample can go to minus plus 24. So that gives you a little bit more ability to manipulate samples, you know, when you're pitching and stuff like that. I like that they added a low pass filter. They actually added two. You have that low pass 2, the low pass 4. That's actually pretty dope. And I used it in this beat. So you'll hear how I tweaked it. You can add cutoff and reso. That kind of allows you to tweak how the low pass filter sounds. So I think that's pretty dope. So overall, me personally, I think it's cool. The screen is dope. The workflow is dope. I like it. I think it's a fun unit to work on. And I believe that is something that a lot of people get away from and don't have that takeaway that all of this, what we do when we're chopping up samples, making beats, is really supposed to be fun. Because when it's fun, it's inspiring. And that's also something that I think is dope about units in this class, is that they are inspiring to work on. It does force you to think a little bit. You maybe want to resample a sample with effects, and et cetera, et cetera. And that brings me to some of the things I found. So when I was making a couple of beats, I wanted to do a string change in a sequence. And so I have, you know, samples on the boombapkingdom.com. And in one of my packs, there's a small, you know, string shot that I wanted to loop on here. And what I did notice was I was able to pitch it and loop it. But then when I changed patterns, that loop kept playing. So that's something Akai should look at. They should perhaps allow you to create your loop, but set the amount of bars you want it to loop at. So this way, if it's a 1 bar, 2 bar, 3 bar, 4 bar loop, it'll stop playing when you move on to the next sequence. However, this is the Boom Bap Kingdom, and we are the king of workarounds because we've been doing this for so long. What I did to correct that issue or overcome that issue, my workaround was just to resample it. I resampled it at the length I needed it to be, and then was able to add it to the pattern. So that's what makes these smaller, lesser powerful units dope. And I'm gonna rock this beat for you all. So it's already finished. I got quite a few on here, but this is actually the very first one that I made. So we could just run through the samples. I have samples in bank A, and you have kicks, snare. There's only one snare here. I didn't link snares, but it's dope that you can link snares. The one thing I noticed about linking snares is when you pitch them both. So just keep that in mind. Hat, open. There's a sample there. Didn't use it in this bank, used it in bank B. Here's my loop going through the low pass. I did a resample of my loop. This is actually chops. Yeah, it's like that. I leveraged the microphone. That's actually really, really dope for sound design. I've been doing all types of stuff, grabbing salt shakers and pepper shakers and shaking them up, getting sounds. There are a couple of YouTubers that said the microphone was whack to them. I think having microphones in these smaller devices is actually very dope, because if you sound design, you can leverage that microphone. So just keep that in mind. Like that. Right? So yeah, it's like that. That's literally me right into that microphone. And then you have the actual loop. That loop will be coming out in a new pack that I'm making. Bass shot, another bass shot, and a little offset. So if you notice, right, there's no key groups on here. You have 16 levels, but no key groups. That's what we were working with back in the days on the MPC 60. So just to keep it a buck, I am an original MPC 60 user. When that joint came out, bang, I bought it. So the, the MPC 60 you see in my unboxing video, I've literally had that since that joint was released, and it still works. I just kept updating the firmware. So that's bank A. If we move over to bank B, we have and that's what we got. MPC Sample, Boom Bap Kingdom's opinion, very dope for people getting started, for people who have been in the game working on older gear, who want to update and have some modern features, but still have that authentic workflow to a degree. For you, for people on flagship units, don't come to this and expect to have all the features of a flagship unit. Makes no sense for a $400 machine. You have to keep that in mind. This is an homage to the 60. Don't have too many heavy expectations. Can you get busy? Listen, I don't know about you, but I can get busy on the MPC Sample. So with that said, I need you to like, share, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. And if you want to support the channel, pick up some merch. I like to drink coffee, so you could check me out on Buy Me a Coffee. I'm there. Buy me a coffee, and real soon we're gonna have membership tiers so you guys can get the treats and the secrets and the knickknacks that I don't share with everybody else. Cause yo, you already know we drop jewels in here, and we have stuff that I love to share with you guys. And I appreciate everybody that tunes in. And with that, I'm gonna do what I always do and leave you with the finished joint and a BBK salute. Peace.
Like that.